All right, this is LeVon Huey here. We're getting ready here in Washington Square Park and getting ready for the March for Medicare for All. So we'll see how this works out.
Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! Okay. One nation, one plan. 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 Okay. We are hurting, so we fight. Healthcare is a human right. Congress, can you hear our call? We need Medicare for all. Should we do that all at once or in two parts? Let's do that as two different things. We are hurting, so we fight. Healthcare is a human right. We are hurting, so we fight. Healthcare is a human right. We are hurting, so we fight. Okay, all right, you got that, all right. So Congress, can you hear our call? We need Medicare for all.
Congress, can you hear our call? We need Medicare for all.
Oh, yeah, okay, so we'll do part one, then I'll do part two. Yes, okay, so do it all at once now. We are hurting, so we fight. Healthcare is a human right.
We are hurting, so we fight.
Healthcare is a human right. Congress, can you hear our call? We need Medicare for all.
Congress, can you hear our call? We need Medicare for all.
Now that works, I think. Oh, you're gonna like this one. Whose taxes? Our taxes. Whose taxes?
Our taxes.
Whose taxes?
Our taxes.
Whose taxes?
Our taxes.
That's great. Yeah. Is that here yet?
Oh, wait, we got one.
Hey,
We got
what's
one.
going on, my man? What's
Hey,
up?
hey,
100% you are the
So we saved it there.
Introduction? Can we get some introduction?
No, we know each other, man. Hey,
All
here, look.
right, thank you so much.
This thing.
practicing chants and stuff.
Okay.
By the way, my name is Richard. I didn't
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay. This is gonna feed back if you use it that way.
Okay.
This is meant to unclip.
Got it.
And
I know how these work. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right, cool.
Now, my name is Richard.
Richard.
I'm sorry for being a little fight
No worries, yeah. We're gonna go start the march right now. Ready?
I'm gonna work the back. Oh, you're a musician, my man?
So yeah, we have a very small singer like that.
Go ahead.
Kind of gives us
No, I'll just text you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We gotta get started if that's all right with you.
Will do. What do we want? And for all.
Oh, I need some of
You're very welcome.
Just do those two. Let's start some of these two. But you're leading the march. You should have it, right?
Yep. All right, let's go to the front. Announce the start.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the banner. I'm probably gonna be able to get it.
Are you tall enough?
No, I mean, I gotta think.
I just had lunch with him yesterday.
For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Smalls. I was fired by Amazon last year when I held a walkout in front of Staten I'm taking it to the richest man in the world as we speak. Mr. James Fowler. And right now, we still fighting and we unionizing right now as we speak outside of the house. So I came here today to join you guys in solidarity, and I want to lead this rally. We're going to march to City Hall, right? We're going to march to City Hall?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All streets! All streets! All streets! All streets! All streets! All streets!
Our taxes! Our taxes! Our taxes! This is what democracy looks like!
Show them what community looks like.
This is what democracy looks like! This is what community looks like! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our taxes! Our taxes! Our taxes! Stand up, fight back! Our streets! Our streets!
Our streets! Our streets!
This is what community looks like!
This is what community looks like.
This is what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Campaign Shut it down! And if we don't get it, shut it down! And if we don't get it, shut it down! What do we want? Make it roll! And what do we want? Now! What do we want? Make it roll! And what do we want? Now! What do we want? Make it roll! And what do we want? Now! What do we want? Make it roll! And what do we want?
I've seen talent thrown away. Are you loan shark? You're gonna play, and then dancing to the brand new beat. This your music, my goodness. This music, all that sensation. Tell your mama, tell your papa, everything will be alright. Can't you feel it? Stolen yard. I saw a revolution start. Esa noche fuera. Loving me down. It's not been a while. There's a chica. Hola, hola, hola. Maybe some you are. Play request down the bandstand. El Clash Combo. Break the things up tonight. Weddings, parties, anything. And bongo jams with speciality.
Hey!
We just wanna party, party just for you. We just want the money, money just for you. I know you wanna party, party just for me. You ain't gotta dance, dancing shit for free. We just wanna party, party just for you. We just want the money, money just for you. I know you wanna party, party just for me. You ain't gotta dance, dancing shit for free.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping up. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping up. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. I got the strap. I gotta carry him. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. Yeah, or I'ma get the bag. Yeah, I'm so cold like yeah. I'm so dull like yeah. We gon' blow like yeah. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping up. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping up. Look how I'm kicking up. I'm so pretty. I'm on Gucci. I'm so pretty. I'm gonna get it. This is 7. On my Kodak. Ooh, know that. Ooh, hundred bands. Contraband. I got the plug into a hopper. Whoa, they gonna find you like a hopper. Ooh, America.
I just checked my phone and listen. You motherfuckers told me.
Get your money, black man. 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 Get down.
Yeah, Medicare for all. We here. We made it. We made it. Thank you all for joining us here today in Solidarity. We're gonna get this program started. We got a great list of speakers. I'm gonna kick this thing off. I'm gonna introduce myself once again for those who may have just joined. I go by the name of Chris Smalls. I was fired last year by Amazon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I know. Yes, I was fired last year when I held a walkout outside of my former facility, JFK in Staten Island. A week after I was fired, Jeff Bezos himself decided to have a smear campaign ran on me, calling me not smart or articulate, ironically to make me the face of the whole unionizing efforts against Amazon. That's ironically, but that's what they discussed in that meeting. And let me just talk about some inequalities real quick. Jeff Bezos last year made $4,000 a second, $9 million an hour, $13 billion a day. Meanwhile, he fired myself and several other activists who stood up for health and safety concerns when COVID-19 hit. This is the reason why a healthcare system, a real actual healthcare system, would have benefited essential workers last year. That's exactly what I stood up for. And I can tell you now, over a year and a half later, I still don't have health insurance. You know, I'm out here because I believe in this fight. I believe that healthcare for all, it should be free healthcare for all, by the way. I actually might have a job still if we had a real healthcare system. But that wasn't the case. I saw my colleagues around me get sick on a daily basis. Amazon refused to provide us with PPE, meaning we had no masks, no cleaning supplies, no guidelines, no social distancing, nothing. Business as usual. You know, how else will Jeff Bezos accumulate $88 billion? We had to go to work. So I did what I had to do. I got fired, but I do not regret it. So, I'm proud to be standing here in solidarity with actually some of the workers here from JFK, Staten Island. I ain't gonna call them out, but you can see their shirts. Amazon Labor Union, we have created a worker-led independent union. Let me repeat that. Not established, we don't have millions of dollars. This is worker-led, brand new, created. This should be the most talked about union drive in the country right now. And guess what? It's not. It's not. But I'm talking about it here today. You know why? Because New York is a union town. And then we had a union at Amazon. We have healthcare, actual healthcare. It's women that I've known from that facility that had miscarriages. It's people that I know going to work limping every day because they have to go to work to make a decent living. And what is a decent living is not what they're being paid. I'll tell you that right now. So this is why we have to fight. We have to continue to stay resilient, stay in the streets, do what we have to do. I don't care about all the criticism that we get and receive for doing these marches. We do what we have to do because we believe in this. That's right. And there is no power like the power of the people, right? People come together, they can't be stopped, right? Absolutely. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring up our first speaker, Professor Anthony Zenkis. Is an adjunct leader at Columbia University School of Social Work. He served with Al Gore on the Climate Reality Project. He has a long resume reflecting his training in social work and economic justice. Also involved with Occupy Wall Street. He is active in the fields on child and sex abuse, domestic violence, and trauma. Welcome to the stage, Anthony Zenkis. Are you here? Professor.
How we doing? Is this good? Yeah, I got this thing going on. Smart. First of all, I'm so fucking honored to be standing next to you, man. You're my hero. You people are beautiful. People who fight for Medicare for all are the most beautiful people in the world. And it is a known fact that we are much more beautiful than the online trolls who told us to stay home and that we were being divisive because we were trying to prevent 70,000 people a year from dying because of our for-profit health insurance system. That's right! Right?
Fuck those trolls!
So, I am a professor at Columbia University in the School of Social Work. I talk a lot about trauma. I want to talk about the trauma of capitalism in our for-profit healthcare system. Okay? And how it impacts children. If you're a child growing up with a parent, like a father who has kidney disease, and they can't afford their treatments, you are growing up in trauma. If you're a child growing up in a home with a mother who has diabetes and has to ration her insulin because she can't afford it, you are growing up in trauma. The for-profit capitalist healthcare system inflicts trauma on millions of children and adults every day in this country, and it's going to stop. That kind of trauma in childhood raises the risk for everything from drug addiction to mental illness to actually getting sick of or dying from the 10 most preventable causes of disease and death in the United States. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control. So our own government admits that their system is inhumane. And I think about trauma, and I think about the struggle that people have living day to day without health care and not knowing if they're going to live or die because they can't afford an ambulance to even go to the ER, let alone the ER visit. Okay? 70% of Americans are for Medicare for all. Okay? When Senator Bernie Sanders went on Fox News and he talked about government-controlled health care in the form of Medicare for all, he got an ovation. Okay? But when Senator Bernie Sanders said to Joe Biden when he became the nominee, Joe Biden, can we have Medicare for all? Joe Biden said no. Yeah. And when that hair sniffer. And that's the best I can say about it. And when American people at town halls across the country said, Joe Biden, we need Medicare for all, Joe Biden said no. And when Amy Barkan, who lives with ALS every day, a healthcare champion, said on a Zoom call with Joe Biden, Joe, we need Medicare for all, Joe Biden said no. So, we have a message to you, President Biden. We're not asking anymore. We are demanding Medicare for all. 10 years ago, I joined thousands of brave New Yorkers in a park not far from here called Zuccotti Park. And we occupied Wall Street. Well, I got a message for the Democrats and Republicans who make $175,000 a year and get free health care. We're not just going to occupy a park anymore. We're going to occupy streets in every major city in this country until we get Medicare for all. Stop inflicting trauma on the American people so you can take bribes and payoffs from insurance companies and pharma companies. In 2016, Hillary Clinton. See, that's just my line like that. I just say her name and it is that. In 2016, Hillary Clinton said, quote, Medicare for all will never, ever come to pass in the United States. We got a message for you. You will never, ever be president of the United States. But Medicare for all will happen in our lifetime. Oh, and I got a message for Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. The American people will never nominate or elect another president who's not guaranteed Medicare for all for every single person in this country. And notice I don't say citizen. Every person in this country, whether or not they're documented, deserves health care. An inhumane society believes they don't. Dwight D. Eisenhower, many years ago, talking about war and peace, said, one day the American people are going to want peace so bad that the government had better get out of their way and give it to them. So let's rephrase that. We've got a message to the Democrats and Republicans who are ruining, or whatever we want to call it, this country. One day the American people are going to want health care for all, free, at point of service, Medicare for all, so bad that you in the government had better get out of our way and give it to us. That day is today. Solidarity.
Thank you, Professor. Appreciate that. That was great. Our next speaker, Gloria Matera, has received various accolades and honors for her work with children and adults in the field of education. Currently, she is a child life professional in NYC Public Hospital and co-chair of the Green Party of New York State. Give it up, Gloria.
Good afternoon, Health Justice Champions. It was awesome marching down here with you. I bring greetings from the Green Party, which is the only political party that has had expanded and improved Medicare for all in its platform for decades. And so I am co-chair of the Green Party of New York, but I've also been a public health hospital worker for 30 years. And soon after I started work, I was convinced the only way to tear down this for-profit, racist, medical industrial complex is to change the system and act an eco-socialist Green New Deal that not only talks about a national health program, but an economic bill of rights and bold initiatives to basically make us fossil fuel free by 2030. Now last year, a lot of us struggled. It was hard, but not for the 700 plus billionaires in this country. Their collective wealth increased 55% during the pandemic.
Fuck those people!
So I'm not here to talk about expanding and adding some benefits to Medicare. That's not health justice. Health justice is not getting dental and vision coverage tacked on. Health justice is not changing the eligibility age from 60 to 60 to 65, 60 to 55. Justice is making healthcare a human right. We demand no less than a publicly funded, cradle-to-grave, comprehensive medical health coverage for every single resident in a country that is rich enough to afford it right now. So, why is health justice not a priority? Who are going to be our champions? First of all, we need to fast track. Congress must fast track H.R. 1976, the single payer bill that was reintroduced recently in the House. There's no time for incremental change. We have to move that along with our movement. But who is going to champion this for us? We are! Right? Back to the punchline. So, is it going to be Joe Biden? No, we just heard about Joe Biden from the professor. He wants to tweak ACA. Well, could it be Chuck Schumer? No, because he's one of the highest recipients of campaign contributions from big pharma and the private medical insurance companies. Well, what about Congress? They just gave Biden another $25 billion to the obscene $753 billion military budget. Money that will fund healthcare for everyone. Why hasn't the New York State Legislature passed the New York Health Act yet? People want that. Some of our elected officials have lobbied for it, in fact. But the two speakers, leaders Hastie and Stuart Cousins, wouldn't even let it come to a vote. Will Andrew Cuomo champion a single-payer system? No, he champions himself, just like he did during the pandemic. What about New York City? Do we have any allies here? A city that was ravaged in our communities by COVID, by increased homelessness, food insecurity, struggling small businesses. Instead, what's the answer we get? More cops on the streets. So, this brother over here said it. Who are the champions? We're the champions. Us and the millions and millions of people that sign petition after petition, poll after poll, to say they want single-payer health care. So we need to put the pressure on. We need to keep mobilizing, but we need to organize, join groups. Join groups that are increasing our healthcare justice spaces. cheer for the New York campaign, New York Health Act. Check out organizations like Physicians for National Health Program, Green Eco-Socialist Network. Support candidates, Green, Eco-Socialist, and Independent, that make system change, not incremental change, a priority, because our health and our lives can't wait. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gloria. Next up, we got Jim Keddy. He's an educator, activist, politician from my home state, New Jersey. He served on the Asbury Park City Council, ran for office on many levels in New Jersey State Legislature and U.S. Congress. Also involved in the campaigns for recovery act efforts in Hurricane Sandy and Maria. He is known for his work in Syrian refugee issue in Europe and anti-sweatshop campaign against Nike. Oh wow, man, welcome to the stage, brother.
How we doing, New York City? My name is Jim Keddy. I am a grassroots educator and activist for more than the last 2 decades. And what I want to talk about today is the work that we have to do at the grassroots level, the continual educating and organizing to move this over the finish line. We have to ask a really basic question. Why are we here today? And sometimes when we're in these fights for a long time, we forget that really simple question. We overlook it as activists, organizers, agitators, radicals, and revolutionaries. We forget this very basic question. We're here today because we believe healthcare is a human right. We're here today because we believe that every human being, regardless of their economic class, should be able to go to the doctor when they're sick. We're here today because we believe that no one should go bankrupt because of medical bills. And we are here today because we believe that the systemic solution to providing health care to every person in the United States of America is a single-payer universal system known as Medicare for all. But we weren't always here. How many people standing with us today were turned on to Medicare for all by the groundbreaking, progressive, bold campaign of Bernie Sanders? Most of the hands going up. Bernie awakened so many people in our country to the need for Medicare for all. He gave the mainstream a framework and a ways of discussing this issue. And he put Medicare for all front and center for every citizen, for every politician, and for every member of the body politic here in America. And for that, Senator Sanders, we thank you. So those are the folks that Bernie brought here today. How many people standing with us today have been in this fight for more than 5 years? For more than 10 years? For more than 15 years? 25? Yes. So thank you for being in the fight for so long. But each of us, as activists, as organizers, needs to remember that time that we weren't in the fight. When we weren't awakened to the need for Medicare for all. When it wasn't on your radar screen. When you didn't know the facts. When you weren't passionate enough to come out on a July afternoon and demonstrate for it. Does everyone remember that point when you were clueless about this issue? Yes. Were you a bad person then? No. Did you not care about your fellow Americans then? No. You just didn't know. And this is the starting point from which we need to leave here today in engaging our fellow Americans who are clueless, millions and millions of them, about this issue and the need for us to pass Medicare for all. As activists and organizers, agitators, radicals, and revolutionaries, this is our starting point. Again, we have millions and millions of our fellow citizens who do not know about this issue. They should not be cursed. They should not be made to feel bad. Even those who are actively working against their own self-interests by supporting politicians that don't support Medicare for all. Again, we can't curse them. We need to organize them. We need to meet people where they're at. We need to be prepared for their critical questions, for their hostility. Have you ever started talking to somebody about Medicare for all and immediately they start attacking you? How the hell are we going to pay for it? You want the government in charge of health care? You want everything to be free. Nothing's free. Who's heard these before? Yes? And on so many occasions, I have seen my fellow progressives and radicals and revolutionaries get caught in the trap of trying to win an argument as opposed to organizing that individual. The first question we need to ask when we engage with someone on the Medicare for All issue is, am I truly invested in this person with whom I am speaking? If you are, when you're doing this organizing work, ask yourself, when you're talking about Medicare for All to someone on the street, in your neighborhood, at the bar, at the park, what's their name? Where are they from? Do they have any kids? Brothers and sisters? Where'd they go to school? Do they have any underlying medical issues? Do they have insurance? Have they ever been without insurance? Do they know what it's like to be uninsured and have medical bills stacking up? The next thing we need to do is get their fear levels down. We're talking about fundamentally changing one of the biggest systems in the United States of America. This systemic shift scares the living hell out of people who don't understand the issue. When they are angrily attacking us with things like, how are we going to pay for it? Know that under that anger, because anger is a secondary emotion, is fear. And we need to stay calm, not match their anger with anger, not match their fear with the fear that we might lose the argument. And we need to let them know their question's legitimate. Yeah, how are we going to pay for this? And we know we have that answer, and all the answers to the questions that people ask on this issue. Then you need to let them know about your story. I look at myself, I'm a small business owner. I run my family's tavern that's been in New Jersey for 38 years. I have to pay $12,000 a year for my health care plan. If I had Medicare for all, I'd be paying $4,000 a year with the tax, right? Now, I am no math wizard, but $4,000 is a lot less than $12,000, and as a small business owner in New Jersey, I will take that in a heartbeat. So as we do this critical organizing work, I also want to remind everyone that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with one conversation. It's not going to happen in a fight on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. It's going to take a lot of committed work on our parts. And I'm not saying that it's okay that this is dragging out. Okay, this issue has been in the political fight for 100 years or more here in the U.S. We stand today here in this moment as part of this movement to bring single-payer, universal Medicare for all to everyone here in the United States. We stand here and we say that healthcare is a human right. We stand here to say that we're committed to do the three things that will bring this to reality. Number one, organize. Number two, organize. And number three, organize. We stand here to say to each other and to everyone here in the U.S. that we'll continue this fight, that we're going to stand in the breach against the big insurance companies and the executives who are getting rich while people can't pay their premiums or have any insurance. We stand here today to say to each other and every citizen in the United States that we will push back against big pharma. While our fellow Americans go without insulin or other basic medications. And we stand here to say to each other and every citizen of the United States that we will push back against every elected official on both sides of the aisle who have sold out to big pharma and the big insurance companies, and we most especially will reserve special ire and activism for every Democrat that ran on Medicare for All and now is nowhere to be found in this fight. We are here because we believe that Medicare for All, that health care is a human right. We believe that every human being should be able to go to the doctor when they're sick. We believe that no one should go bankrupt for medical expenses. And because we believe that the systemic solution to providing health care for every man, woman, and child in these United States of America lies in a single-payer, universal system known as, and repeat after me, Medicare for All. Thank you very much.
What do we want? When do we want it? Our next speaker is Bess Golden, is a writer, artist, activist, and podcaster. She is the host of Millennials Planning, a podcast that explores why millennials are the poorest generation, what are we going to do about it, and why avocado toast don't define us. Bess is also a lead video coordinator for United Left, an organization dedicated to creative media and coordinated digital actions. Welcome. On her show. I was on her show, by the way. Check it out.
Check it out. Is this working? Test, test. It's working? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'll take this out.
She looks like Savage Joy.
So, you might have figured, my name is Bess Godin, and I'm a millennial. You don't know me, because you don't really know anything about my generation. Who we are has been described to you by ad men with their focus groups and marketing data, or corporate reporters that scrounge for clickbait in an effort to fill endless 24-hour news cycles. You haven't heard us speak about ourselves, our culture, our problems, because our voices drown in digital obscurity. Our access to the national microphone has been constantly stymied by our lack of jobs. A whole third of my generation is currently uninsured. Half of my generation puts off or completely forgoes treating health problems because they can't pay the bill. A full quarter of my generation has to take care of a sick family member while they hold down several jobs because they can't afford help. Yeah, I'm a diva. You have to wait. I'm so honored right now. You don't know me, but during my short adult life, I have been an example of all of those statistics. Health insurance cards flit in and out of my wallet like ADHD butterflies. I have changed jobs so often, my unedited resume would require its own hard drive. Only one of those jobs ever offered me health insurance coverage, and I paid so much for the premium, I had no money to pay doctors' co-pays or for my prescriptions. Obamacare was more of the same, and after a few months on one of those plans, I went completely broke. Home health remedies combined with ER visits were responsible for the majority of my health care as an adult. This method got me through 7 bouts of severe tonsillitis. Then, my throat was so swollen, my breathing could have made Darth Vader jealous. Years of consistent back problems were treated with ice packs and ibuprofen until my back spasmed so bad it would lay me up for days. Luckily, I was insured during my back surgery about 4 years ago. But that didn't solve the $5,000 copay that I still owe the hospital. That's 2 months' salary for me. But none of this qualifies as unusual. Millennials are the most underinsured generation. This is normal. You don't have to know me to know that all of these circumstances are rampant among both the young and the poor. But you do have to know me if you want to know how I figure into that final statistic. I am one of the 25% of millennials who had to care for a family member. I am among those who spent an average of 30% of their income on taking care of first my parents as they slowly succumbed to cancer, and then my grandfather when he developed dementia.
I am one of the 70% of caregivers that have missed work hours, not to mention better job opportunities because of my responsibility. I am one of the 46% of caretakers whose own health has suffered due to their choice to take care of someone who needed them. Yes. Concur. But most importantly, you don't know me because the millennials who have been elected to represent us are betraying their generation. When AOC, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, and even Bernie Sanders, who I used to consider an honorary millennial, ran on Medicare for All, we trusted that they understood how desperately we needed it. That we can't wait for the right opportunity to spend your political capital. We are still in a pandemic. Hello. We have already lost our youth and our opportunity. While campaigning, you promised you understood us, but where are you now? Your inaction is ensuring our generation's demise. Through illness, through medical extortion, through forcing us to seek paid labor to fund our unpaid familial responsibilities. But the real sting in the betrayal is this. While we post GoFundMes to afford blood pressure medicine, we are still legally forced to donate a percentage of our meager resources to fund your health care.
Fuck those people!
Absolutely.
They betrayed us.
Absolutely. Millennials only own 5% of this nation's wealth. Why in Uncle Sam's name do we have to pay your bills too? If we ensure that you have health care by law, why aren't you doing the same for us? We need you now more than ever, and you are abandoning us. If I had abandoned my responsibilities when my family needed me the most, they'd have had much shorter lives and even more painful deaths. You don't know me, but Medicare for All could have saved my youth. Instead of repeatedly reminding my grandfather that I'm not my dead mother during my 20s, I could have been out networking to start the career that I got a master's degree for. Instead of cold calling every hospital in the tri-state area to see if they would treat my father, who was too overweight for most radiation machines, I could have been working overtime and saving up so that I could have saved my childhood home. My youth was stolen from me by the inadequacies of our medical system. Medicare for All.
Thank you so much, guys. Our next speaker, Dr. Steve Arrowback. Dr. Steve Arrowback worked for 30 years as a medical epidemiologist for the Center of Disease Control and Health Resources and Services Administration. He is a longtime board member of the Physicians for National Health Program, our New York Metro area chapter. Thank you.
Hi there. What do we want? When do we want it? So I'm honored to have been asked to speak, and I'm joined by my colleagues, the next generation. These are medical students, current medical students. I'm with a group called Physicians for a National Health Program, pnhp.org. We have a chapter here in New York, pnhpnymetro.org. And we have all of our medical student chapters. We're growing. Did you know that a majority of physicians in the United States support single-payer, comprehensive Medicare for all? Did you know that the AMA represents less than 20% of physicians? Yeah. See, we're learning. This is an education. We're learning something today. So as physicians, we know that the corporate insurance companies, they're not private, they're corporate. The corporate insurance companies only make money by denying care, by delaying care. That's how they make money. Their business isn't healthcare. Health insurance companies' business is to create an investment pool for Wall Street. That's the opposite of what insurance is supposed to be. Insurance is supposed to be a pool to cover us all.
Fuck Wall Street!
As physicians, we know that the same transnational drug companies are selling the same drugs in the other capitalist developed democracies around the world, in Europe, in Australia, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan. It's all the same companies and the same drugs, but they sell them for half the price or a quarter of the price that they do here. So in effect, we in the US are in effect supporting their higher return on investment at they're gouging America in order to double their return on investment. Did you know that the drug companies have a return on investment that is more than twice the Fortune 500 average? We do want to put the health insurance companies out of business. We don't want to put the drug companies out of business. We just want to pay the same prices that Japan and Taiwan and Australia and Canada and New Zealand are paying. Stop gouging Americans. You know, I know this may not be the crowd for it, but we just want the pharmaceutical companies to make the same profits as the rest of the Wall Street average, not twice the profit at our expense. As physicians, we know that single payer is the only way to get to comprehensive, universal, high-quality health care for everybody in the United States. It is a necessary, though not sufficient, condition for achieving that. It will cost less for over 95% of persons living in households and families in the United States. Paid for. How do we pay for it? With progressive taxation. Let me answer the question that always comes up at those debates. Let me explain what the answer to that question is always coming up at those debates. Okay? Would you rather pay $2 and call it a premium, or would you pay $1 and call it a tax? Who wants to pay $2 instead of $1, regardless of what you call it? That's, of course not. So, that's the answer. And by the way, who thinks that the very high income people should pay more than working people? Yeah, and we've known that in the United States, oh, I don't know, since the 1890s. I mean, this isn't new, folks. No. So as physicians, we know that this is better for doctors. It gives us back our professional autonomy, which we've lost to Wall Street and the insurance companies and the private equity and the hedge funds that have taken over and made for-profit healthcare even worse and even more monopolized than it's been. We know that it's better for the hospitals, that the hospitals wouldn't have to fight the insurance companies to get reimbursement. Hospital Association in New York City, which is opposed to its lobbyists at least, or opposed to the New York Health Act, actually ran an ad saying exactly the kinds of things we're saying here today, that their fight with the health insurance companies around deny, delay, and reduce. Deny payments, delay payments, and when they finally pay, if you fight hard enough, pay less. That was the hospitals that oppose single payer in a lobbying the state legislature in one of their ads against the private insurance companies. And you know who they said was the best payer that they liked the most? Medicare. It's better for the hospitals. It's better for the doctors. It's better for the people. And that's why we are here as doctors and medical students and other healthcare professionals today to tell you that there is no policy debate anymore. There is no economic debate anymore. Single payer is the way to go, period. But we do need to fight, and we do need to organize, and we do need to stand in solidarity. And I have to tell you, Jayapal and Sanders and AOC and Bowman, that's as good as it gets. It's not a matter of calling them out. It's a matter of organizing amongst your neighbors and your friends and your family and your neighborhood business and your neighborhood hospital and your neighborhood doctor and your neighborhood powers that be to elect more people to Congress to pass the damn bill. That applies to pressure in the New York State legislature, where we nominally have a majority of New York State senators and New York State Assembly members who are nominally supporting the New York Health Act, which would be expanded to improve Medicare for all for New York State. Please sign up for that campaign. We nominally have a majority, but behind the scenes, we know that if it were to come to a vote tomorrow, we would not. So we need to keep fighting for that. And we fight by all means. We fight in the streets. We fight by calling our legislators. We fight by calling our hospitals and doctors. We fight by calling out the lobbyists. We fight to elect better congressmen where they're not there already, better legislators where they're not. We do all of these things by all the mechanisms necessary. We have to have a way of changing the system that will work, that will win us the fight. So we don't do that by being divisive. We do that by working together. I am here in solidarity with you all for the same cause. Let's go out and fight for it by all our mechanisms, by all of our means, by all of our organizing. And let's make that small businessman and that big businessman more profitable by getting healthcare costs off of their table. It's good for the workers. It's good for businesses that are currently contributing. And it's good for doctors, and it's good for the poor, and it's good for immigrants regardless of their status. It's good for all of us.
What do we want? 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 When do we want it? When do we want it? Billionaires, they gotta go. Billionaires, they gotta go. Billionaires, they gotta go. Billionaires, they gotta go. Tax Jeff Bezos. Tax Jeff Bezos. Tax Jeff Bezos. Tax Jeff Bezos. Our next speaker, Donna Bill, is a social political activist, best known for her efforts to legalize weed. Oh, I'm sorry, bro. And promote the benefits of, what's that last word? I can't pronounce that. Ibogaine. There you go.
All right. I can add a couple of things. One is I'm here today from ACT UP, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. We're still around. Back in the beginning of ACT UP, there were people in ACT UP talking about single payer. Right? So we have always been there. I would like to add also, for those of you who may know me, I'm an old yippie. I was like an activist against the Vietnam War. When we found out the entire Vietnam War was a gigantic drug dealing conspiracy to pump heroin into the inner city of our country and replace the marijuana that we all knew and loved with deadly white powders. I asked McGovern about it on national television. He said, yes, it's true. The government that we're supporting is betraying us. Damn right. They're selling us heroin, the Vietnamese, just like it just happened in Afghanistan. So, in the 70s, we thought we were going to legalize weed. Ronald Reagan got elected, and we knew that isn't going to happen anytime soon. That isn't going to happen anytime soon. So we sat down and said, you know something? Under Reagan, we think the government's going to go back to dealing drugs. They called it South Central. They called it crack. So we sat down, we knew something kind of obscure about an African rainforest drug called Ibogaine that gets rid of addiction overnight. 30 minutes after you take Ibogaine, if you are addicted to heroin, your withdrawal goes away and never comes back. We spent 10 years pursuing it, and then at the height of AIDS and the height of the crack epidemic, it went to the government and said, you should look at this. And they spent $5 million investigating. And then there was this company called Reckitt Benckiser. I don't know if you know about Reckitt Benckiser. But how many of you heard of Suboxone? The only drug you can get for addiction is another addictive drug. So they had a CRATA, they had a research agreement with NIDA that we did not know about when we were going to those NIDA meetings. And they actually had a panel finally. The new head of NIDA came in, appointed by Bill Clinton. And he put Reckitt Benckiser, the Suboxone company, on the panel. And by one vote, Ibogaine was discontinued. So you don't get an alternative. You don't get something that really gets rid of addiction. You don't get rid of something that works for meth and crack. And like nobody is pretending that Suboxone works for meth or crack. There's just nothing for meth or crack. ACT UP has a program that we started with the city of New York called Recharge. And it's a harm reduction program, basically supervised meth use. We're trying to get that expanded. We have a law that has been introduced by Linda Rosenthal, A7928, to create an Ibogaine clinic right here in New York City, working with the Recharge program, working with the city health department, so that people in this country will not have to go down to Tijuana like Hunter Biden did for his crack and alcohol problem. You'll be able to get it in New York City for $1,500, not $9,000 in Tijuana. And we want you to support that bill. I'm sure most of you never knew that, hey, most of you never knew about Ibogaine, but most of you never knew ACT UP is there trying to get this stuff to regular New Yorkers for a price that is affordable. Now we're going out to Charles Schumer's house tomorrow. And we're being nice. We support marijuana legalization. A week and a half ago, he finally put his bill in to legalize pot, and he was asked, well, how come Bernie Sanders can't put this in the reconciliation bill, the big 3.5? Bernie Sanders told us he was going to legalize weed. Where are you, Bernie? Wait a minute. And Schumer was asked about it, and he said, well, there are some people in the caucus who will torpedo the entire $3.5 trillion if we try to put marijuana in that bill. Now, I'm a medical marijuana guy. I was the principal medical marijuana supplier in this city from 1993 until 2011, when I went to prison for fucking 3 years for bringing marijuana to New York. And I want to see that money from that tax act, which is what it's called. It's called the CAO Act here. I can give you a few of these out if you're really coming to the thing tomorrow. I'll give you a flyer. But they raise a lot of money. In Colorado, they fund the schools. Being a medical marijuana guy, I want to see the revenue from marijuana go to Medicare for all. There is revenue to support this, but there's these people. Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire has come out and said, somehow, if we legalize pot, it will send the wrong message. And more people will do opiates. Well, that's kind of funny, because every place they legalized pot, opiate deaths fell. Because people would rather smoke a joint for pain than do opiates. It's just way better. So we're going there tomorrow, and we're going to have that big banner calling on them to put the pot bill in the Stimulus Act so that it gets passed for sure, and Biden has to sign it. Now, we realize we may not get what we want, so we have a fallback, and that is a letter that's been delivered to Charles Schumer. We had a Zoom with his office on Wednesday regarding this, calling on him to send a letter to Joe Biden, whose son took Ibogaine, getting him to acknowledge that Ibogaine has zero abuse potential. Hunter Biden couldn't stop smoking crack. He did Ibogaine one time. He says, I don't want to do that again. I couldn't move for a long period of time. It was kind of an ordeal. It's not a party drug. It's only good for medical use. What is it doing in a schedule where you have to have a high potential for abuse? Every drug in that schedule has to have a high potential for abuse. Ibogaine has no abuse potential. If the President of the United States orders the Attorney General to acknowledge zero abuse potential, Ibogaine comes out of the schedule, it becomes a plant supplement, and everybody can get it. Nobody has to be taking Suboxone for the rest of their life. 8% of people who take Suboxone are able to use it to taper off and actually quit. 92% will be on Suboxone for the rest of their life. Ibogaine, 41% who took Ibogaine in the Crossroads study. By the way, Hunter went to the Crossroads Clinic, and they published a study. 41% walked away from opiates for the rest of their life. That sounds like that's, do the math. 41, 8. Isn't 41 5 times more effective than 8? So, I want to ask you something. You look like you might be of African American persuasion. Do you think that you ought to have automatic access to a sacred African plant that gets people off heroin overnight? Don't you think it's your birthright that was stolen from you? So I just want a few more of you out there in front of Charles Schumer's tomorrow, because we'd like to get this marijuana bill in the stimulus, but if we can't, we'll settle for the letter to Joe Biden to get Ibogaine available to all. Thank you very much. My name is Dana Beal. You can come to the ACT UP meetings. They have a Zoom on Monday night, and we would really invite you to get involved in all the good stuff that ACT UP is doing.
What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? Our last speaker before our intermission, Sean Robinson. He is the founder of the Brooklyn-based company ABC CBD. After Sean speaks, we're gonna have a short intermission. Please stick around. We got some amazing speakers coming up. We have a clip from Katie Harper. We have Kathy Rojas. We have Queen Johnson, Walker Bragman, Lady Bunny, and last but not least, Susan Sheridan will be here. So please stick around after Sean speaks. Please go see the table over here for donations. We do encourage everybody here to donate what you have to the amazing organizers who put this together. Please support us. And also, there'll be a free CBD giveaway right here at the table. So come grab you a joint, light up, smoke up. And what do we want? And when do we want it? Now. What's yours?
Hey, how you guys doing today? Thank you so much, you guys, for coming out and supporting such a great cause. This is very important for all of us. I am the co-founder of ABC CBD. Just a couple heads up on a couple of things. I am going to swear and most likely cry. Well, based in passion, but just a warning nonetheless. I'm here to tell you because cannabis has the potential to save us all. Cannabis is for everyone. We're at the end of Prohibition here in New York fucking City. So now is the opportunity for all of us to make our mark and hold this plant sacred to us. I've been a consumer of THC and CBD for most of my adult life. As a veteran, a chef, adventure cyclist, and a father, this plant has helped me with many of my problems. PTSD, depression, gut issues, anxiety, the list goes on. I'm a guy who works my ass off daily to help as many people as possible through the cannabis plant. This plant has the power to change our broken system of our society. We can revolutionize how we produce and manufacture goods all around the world. Cannabis has the potential to save the world. Let me get one thing straight. Cannabis is one plant. It's made up of 100+ different cannabinoid compounds. The main one, THC, psychoactives, we all know what that's about. But there's CBD, CBN, CBG, the list goes on. So what I'm trying to talk to you guys about is you need to take control of your own body and your own healthcare. Because we shouldn't be fucking stigmatized because of a fucking plant. This is a seed that comes from the ground, and if you treat it right and you give it love and you give it vibration, you will get nothing but pure goodness for your body, your mind, and your soul. This planet is for everyone, from homeless people to professional athletes, from moms to grandpas, from college-age kids to war-torn vets. These are the people I help every fucking day with the cannabis plant. You guys need to be aware that there are corporations and entities, the big three, they're at the table right now on the federal level trying to write laws to control this plant. They want to take this shit away from us. And these corporations and entities, they're known to poison us and our fucking planet. So why the fuck would we trust them to be in charge of a natural plant? Stop putting fucking science in our body and get us back to plants. That's what medicine is, plant-based medicine. Our Olympic athletes should not be criticized and scrutinized because of all the fucking stigmas around a plant. Everybody has trauma. We all deal with our own shit, including myself. We all need to work together because as a community, that's all we can do. Because they don't give a fuck about us. They show that every fucking day. So we gotta rise the fuck up, get loud, cause a ruckus, as AOC says, and get this shit for everybody. Medicare for all, Cannabis for all. That's what I'm fucking talking about. So, my gift to you, New York, just a couple of little tip and advices. Know where your weed is coming from. I know what's getting slung around these streets right now because it's the fucking heyday. We're at the peak of it all. And there's a lot of stuff coming from out west, from the cartel grows, is laced with fucking chemicals. That is defeating the purpose of this plant. If you're smoking weed that has been treated with chemicals for fucking ornamental shrubs are going into weed plants out west by the cartel. That ends up in the flower. That ends up in your body when you smoke it, when you eat it, when you vaporize it. If you don't know where that weed comes from, find a reliable source. Go find somebody who cultivates their shit at their home. Grow your own shit for even better so you know what you're doing. Learn about it. It's a seed. Plant a fucking seed. So, exactly. So, if you are 21 and up, it's gotta be, I have free CBD, not psychoactive, but medicine nonetheless. I have free CBD joints if anybody would like one. Gotta be 21 and up. I'm not checking IDs, but I'm just going off the honor system. So thank you everyone so much.
What do we want? When do we want it? We got one quick announcement from Dana.
Tomorrow at Schumer's, Joints for Jabs will be giving out a joint of real weed to everybody who's been vaccinated. With this latest wave of COVID, we want to make a statement that medical marijuana supports getting vaxxed. So be there or be square.
Thank you so much. We have our first intermission performer. Her name is Nicole Orr. She will be performing. So please, once again, stick around. Enjoy the performances. We're going to have some music, a quick 15-minute intermission, 15 to 20-minute intermission, and then we'll reset and then bring up the rest of our speakers for the program. Please join in solidarity right here at the intermission. Thank you so much for being here. Make some noise!
And that we will continue to die at higher rates until we have Medicare for all. Healthcare is a human right, and I'm proud to stand here today in solidarity with the movement for this. Thank you.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! Queen Johnson is running for Congress in the New York 8th Congressional District. Queen. Is Queen here? Queen Johnson to the stage.
Hello, New York. How are we doing today? Okay, so my name is Queen Johnson. I'm an activist, a community organizer, and a progressive candidate for New York 8 U.S. Congress. However, before that, I'm a mother of 4 beautiful children, a fiance to this woman right here, and a working class citizen for the United States of America. I am super excited and honored to be a part of this amazing Medicare for All rally, because today our voices will be heard. Healthcare is our human right. Am I right or am I right? Once again, healthcare is our human However, unfortunately, in the United States, healthcare has been a for-profit business. Billions have been made and millions have died due to our broken healthcare system. Okay? I'm gonna repeat that. Billions have been made and millions have died due to our healthcare system. However, hold on. I believe we have all been affected by our current healthcare system in one way or another. Medicare for All is very, very personal to me. I have been on both sides of the fences when it comes to Medicare for All that we have not received. In 2014, I was an eligibility specialist for the Medicaid for City of New York. However, I was a part of the recertification unit for Medicaid. What is the job duties of the recertification unit in Medicaid is to see if clients qualify for another year of coverage. And if they do not, my job was to close their case and terminate their coverage. There shouldn't be a recertification unit in Medicaid for our rights. There shouldn't be a determination when it comes to our human rights. Okay? So now, fast forward, in 2016, my father, who was 65 years old at the time, had an emergency. He had to be rushed to the hospital. He was on a breathing machine. He couldn't breathe. He needed emergency surgery. Unfortunately, he did not have health care. So what they did was, they said, okay, we're gonna make him comfortable. That's what they say when you go to the hospital and you don't have insurance. They're gonna make you comfortable until the Medicaid clears, until the coverage is approved, and then we're gonna do that surgery for your father. He only had a 60% chance of living. So what that showed me was, who cares, right? If that person has diabetes and need their insulin to stay alive? Who cares if that person has cancer and need radiation and chemo to stay alive? And who cares if that person have COVID-19 and need oxygen to breathe? They said, we do not care. Not only was I disgusted and sick to my stomach, I called it a disgrace. You understand? It was a disgrace. I looked at everybody in the hospital. I said, where the hell are we? Is this a circus? Like, what's going on here? He's about to die. You understand? And it was a hard time, but with the grace of God, not the doctors, the graces of God, my father is still here 5 years later. Okay? So I want you all to know, when I talk about it, my knowledge comes from the experience. I lived it. I'm here with y'all. I've been through it. I'm still going through it. I'm just as human as anyone else. Okay? So, when it came down to the civil rights movement, right? They demanded, they marched, but at the end of that tunnel, those demands were met. And the same thing is going to happen with Medicare for All, because it can and will be done. Okay? If it wanted to be done today, it can happen. Okay? But due to our American system, that is the reason why it hasn't been done. Okay? And the only way for it to get done is by changing and shifting that American system, which we are doing today. And we're going to continue to do it until our demands are met. Okay? So at the count of 3, what do we demand?
Medicare for all.
When do we demand it?
Now.
What do we demand?
Medicare for all.
When do we demand it?
Now.
I want them to hear us all the way to the Capitol. When do we
Johnson, progressive candidate for New York 8. I'm in it with y'all. I love New York. We are in it to the end. And God bless. Peace, love, and blessings.
Thank you, Queen. Next speaker we have Walker Bragman, is an independent journalist who's been published in various outlets, including the Huffington Post, Salon, The Hill, and The Intercept.
Hi everyone, sorry, just give me 1 second to put my mask in my pocket. So before I begin, I just want to encourage everyone, if you haven't, please get vaccinated. It's the only help we're getting through this pandemic. It's free, it's safe. Please do it. It can save you and everyone else. So with that, today is the 185th day of Joe Biden's presidency. And healthcare in America remains as broken as it was the day he took office. You know, 1 in 5 Americans skipped treatment last year due to healthcare costs. That's 46 million people in the height of a pandemic going without care because they can't afford it. And I want you to think about that number, because 610,000 Americans died from COVID so far. It's not over. And actually, the real count might be as high as 900,000, which is a staggering number of people. So, if people aren't getting treatment, it makes it harder to track viral spread. It means that our population is less healthy and more susceptible to the virus. And it means that people who could otherwise have been saved are dying in their homes, as thousands of our friends, our family members, our neighbors, and our colleagues have so far. So when people say that we shouldn't talk about Medicare for all in the context of the pandemic, well, those people are just wrong, and dangerously so, and they're killing us. So, I wanted to say a few things today, because this issue is very important to me. A virus that originated overseas killed my friend's father in a matter of weeks. We are only as safe as the most vulnerable among us. And we know who the most vulnerable among us are, and that's part of the reason we haven't done more to combat this virus. One of the most simple things we could have done is establish a national healthcare system. The opportunity, now is the time. Our system has been laid bare for everyone to see, and as much as they try to put the genie back in the bottle, they cannot do it. These flaws are out in the open. Everyone sees it. So why hasn't more been done? Part of the problem is the communities that are most drastically affected. They are just not priorities for those in power. But they have to be priorities for us. Our current healthcare system is an arm of white supremacy. And it cannot be said enough. Because oftentimes when we have this conversation, we leave that out. We talk about it'll help everybody, but it will specifically help Black and brown communities across this country. It is our moral obligation to pass a national healthcare system. It is a moral obligation. And you know what? Climate change is going to make everything worse. The pandemic is bad. You thought the pandemic was bad? Just wait until we hit droughts and mass migration and have horrible, wait until we get tropical diseases in New York City. We need a national healthcare system as just basic public infrastructure.
Yes.
And so we're here today Not only because we support healthcare for everybody, but because we need a fundamental reimagining of the role of our federal government. We are in this mess because a generation of leaders decades ago abandoned the lessons of Franklin Roosevelt for the lies of Ronald Reagan. We need a return to the era of big government, because if we don't get it, we will collapse as a nation under the weight of the crises that are coming our way.
Some people do.
And the last thing I want to say before I go is I know there is a lot of frustration with electoral politics. That people they throw their hands up. I don't want any part of this. We can't do it. The fight is too hard. That fight is hard because it is the right fight. They wouldn't be fighting if we weren't on the right path. So don't give in to those voices who say disengage, get out, stop. Because this is the moment of our lives. We have got to seize it. So stand with me, I stand with you, and let's get something done. Thank you.
A little brainwashing. You don't know who some of these people are. There's a lot of think tanks out there.
That is true.
So you hear this and this, and you think it's just a regular person. I'm very skeptical. I understand younger people. I think it is a community.
It can be
All right, we're about to wrap this thing up. We got two very special people coming up next. My comrade, Lady Bunny, is an actress, comedian, DJ, creator, Wingstop. Give it up to Lady Bunny.
Let me say, before I take my mask off, do I have any 5 o'clock shadow? No, just kidding. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming out for Medicare for All. We are not here to expand Obamacare.
No!
We are not here for a public option. If I already went back on that promise. We are not here for dropping the eligibility age to 60, because even if they drop the eligibility age to 60 tomorrow, it would take 3 decades for that to impact me. That was a joke. I'll be there in a year. But first of all, I want to say it is so important that we get out into the streets, because as much as we love seeing people be ratioed on Twitter, and as much as if I had any small part of Neera Tanden not getting the job that she initially wanted, and it was worth it. We were in a pandemic, so we were kind of stuck online a lot, and but it's important to get out in the streets. It's important also, while Twitter is a great forum for ideas, to spread those ideas to people who aren't on Twitter, and spread those the ideas to people who may just be working too hard and not totally engaged in things. And there's simple messages, a meme floating around Twitter that says selling people on Medicare for All is as easy as telling them that 2 is less than 8. You know, that you would pay thousands less for insurance with Medicare for All. Another thing I want to say is we're never going to get Medicare for All from the Republican Party. So we put our efforts in the Democratic Party. That needs a boo too. So let's look at what's going on with the Democratic Party. I'll be happy to work with anybody in the Democratic Party who supports Medicare for All, but we have a president who was given tens of billions by insurance and literally said during the campaign that he would ignore the 70% of Democrats, his own voters, and veto Medicare for All if it got through the Congress. How do you have the nerve? How do you have the nerve to run and do that? I mean, the only thing progressive about Joe Biden is his dementia. I'm sorry. So then let's look at the Democratic leadership. There's Nancy Pelosi blocking it with measures like PayGo. Did you see the article that came out during the primaries where the New York Times, I mean, I'm glad they were truthful, they literally didn't see any issue with doing an article that the Democratic leaders, Pelosi and Schumer, held, and Pete Buttigieg, held a Stop Sanders and Medicare for All. Like, it's in black and white. They want to, the leaders of the Democratic Party want to stop what 70, 80% of their voters want. This isn't a party that's going to win. Then let's look at the progressives, or let's look at the 109 Medicare for All co-sponsors in the House. How many of them are at the 55 cities that we're having this march in? I mean, if there were scheduling conflicts, that's one thing, but you could tweet about it. I mean, you could get on your Instagram account, AOC, and you know, so there is no one in the Democrat Party.
That's how much they care.
Bernie's not a Democrat, but he's not fighting for it either. So it is up to us. It is up to us to take to the streets and make this very clear and appealing. I mean, listen, Joe Biden wants to be bipartisan all the time because he's really a Republican. What enjoys more bipartisan support than the 50% of Republicans who support Medicare for All and the 70-80% of Democrats? Oh, well, we don't want bipartisan when it costs our donors. So I mean, this would be an obvious and easy thing to do. I don't know what else I have to say really, but if you demand nothing, you get nothing. And I'm so happy to be here with all of y'all. I feel like saying, hey you lady, don't you want cheaper health care? Honey, do you like paying out the nose for shitty quality health care? I mean, it's like a lot of people think that Donald Trump is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened in this country. And we're New Yorkers, we didn't like him before he was in politics. But it is also very, very embarrassing that all major countries have this kind of health care. What's the difference? Voters are excusing corruption. And, I think that's all I got for you. It makes my blood boil, but it makes me filled with joy to see all of you here to support Medicare for All.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Medicare for all. When do we want it? Now. Our last speaker for the event, she's a very big part of my childhood growing up. Let's just say that. My favorite movie, one of my favorite movies, James and the Giant Peach. But Susan Sarandon is an Academy Award-winning actress and activist for voice and peace and justice. And a comrade of mine. Welcome.
Thank you for that. I got worried. I wasn't sure which one you were going to say. Some of them you should not have been watching as a child. But Peach, that's a good one. I like that. And thank you to Lady Bunny, who had so many good points to make, and fabulous legs, by the way. You guys are hardcore. You've been here for a long time. You took the march, everything else. I don't know if you're getting a little bit cranky, maybe a little hangry, I don't know. But what I would like is for you to get much more angry. I would like you to be furious because you are getting screwed. We are all getting screwed out of what is our right, and that is health care for everybody, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of your color, your creed, your gender identification, who you love. All of those things shouldn't count for anything because we are in a very, very wealthy nation. Now, why are we in this predicament? Lady Bunny touched on it for sure. Basically, they don't care. They don't care about you. You are dispensable until it's the primaries. You're dispensable until it's time to vote. And then everybody goes into all these communities and says, you don't want this other guy because they're so horrible. You have to turn to the polls. No matter what the history of that person is, no matter what their policies have been, you have to drag your ass out to the polls and make sure the other guy doesn't get in or the other woman doesn't get in. It's not going to happen from the top down. It's only going to happen from the bottom up. And that's why all of these local candidates are so very important, because even though they're up against so much, it's the only hope I think we really have. Because once you get in there, when you look at the Congress, Medicare for All has been waiting for Nancy Pelosi to get a vote on it for 30 fucking years, people. And then all of these people that have sponsored Medicare for All bills, where are they? Recently, where are they?
Nowhere.
Now, I'm going on Monday to AOC's office, and I'm actually from Jackson Heights, and I walked with her before anybody knew she was a rock star, and helped her campaign in the early days. And so I've got to say that, you know, I'll be very happy to see if she's there. I don't know, but she's in DC. She'll be hiding. She was camping the last time I looked for her, but anyway, it's important that you put pressure locally on people. The statistics are that 1 in 3 of the people that died of COVID would not have died had there been Medicare for All. And didn't you think, oh my God, once the pandemic came, it was so obvious as people were falling through the cracks and people were going bankrupt and people wouldn't go to the hospital because they didn't have health care, and there was such a catastrophe and everything fell apart. You thought, oh my God, finally, even if it's just temporary, we're going to have health care for everybody, because clearly it's the only way we're going to save lives here, right? No, wrong. Okay, so now people are bankrupt. All these people that lost their jobs, and there were millions of people who then lost their health care, not all of which was probably very great, but still. And then there's still millions of people who are not covered. Now, my union, when your health care is attached to your union, my union just kicked a bunch of people off and told them because they were older to go get Medicare, which does not have the coverage that they had before. I have a son. Yeah, Boo is right. I have a son who is a director and a writer, and he paid a lot of money to get into the Directors Guild, and he got thrown off of his health care. Wow. So the union is not the answer, because then you have your coverage. And what happened with GE? They went on strike. 2 days later, they canceled their insurance. So this whole business about our union fought so hard to get insurance is bullshit. I mean, then fight for something else and get your insurance from the government. That's the way it works in every other major country. I mean, isn't it embarrassing to be in the United States and not have health care? Aren't you angry about that? I mean, this is horrible. Why have we, it's like being in a bad abusive relationship, that we've accepted this for so many years, and now finally we can see this is not working. And it's not working for the whole country, because people are going bankrupt, people are dying, they can't contribute to the economy, so it doesn't even make sense from a profit point of view. And why, as Lady Bunny pointed out, is this not moving along in the same direction? Because if you examine where people have gotten their money for their campaigns, you'll see that the insurance industry and the pharmaceutical industry has a hold on pretty much everybody. Everybody, pretty much everybody. So it's not going to happen from the top down, because you're asking people to go against the companies that gave them $7 million. It's like oil and gas. Why are we still fracking? Because they paid for the campaigns. So we can't turn to the top and expect that to happen. No one's going to save us at the top. It's great that Biden just came out and said, okay, you can get your drugs in Canada.
Wait, really? He did?
heard, yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I mean, that's great that you won't get arrested for getting your insulin in Canada, but why do you have to go to Canada? Because Canada has healthcare, so they can negotiate with pharmaceuticals. That's
And they
why.
took our jobs
I mean,
because
okay, so we
the
all
businesses
agree
don't have to pay
this
their
sucks.
healthcare.
We all agree we're angry. Now what do we do about it? So there's this petition, like, you know, we have to put pressure on people because the midterms eventually will be coming up. And I want to just tell you what's in this petition so that you can take out your phones and sign the petition. Okay, a single-payer healthcare system that's free from the point of service to Americans regardless of sex, age, creed, race, religion, gender identity, citizenship, disability, geographic location, income, and employment status, which includes but not limited to. This is like Christmas, folks. Listen to what you would get if you get Medicare for all. Zero copays, zero deductibles, zero in and out of network restrictions. What a pain in the ass that is, right? Full dental covered. Full dental covered. Full vision covered. Full funeral expenses covered. Full chronic conditions covered. Full senior centers, nursing homes, long-term care covered. Full home health care covered. Full elective surgery covered, including abortions. Full audiology covered, full post-surgical care covered, full palliative and end-of-life covered, full maternity, newborn, pediatric care covered. Why wouldn't it be? What the fuck are we talking about in this country if you can't cover that? Full acupuncture covered, full rehabilitative covered, full physical therapy covered, full reproductive care covered. I feel better already just reading this. Better too. Here's a good one. Full substance abuse treatment. You know, when I was on the road for Bernie both times, you just do not know how out of control places like New Hampshire in terms of opiate addiction. Who knew? I thought of New Hampshire as being like all golden and green and camping and stuff. No. It is a mess around the United States in terms of addiction, and there's absolutely nowhere for people to go. There's no program that accepts them for any long term. You have to have, you know, contaminated urine to stay back in. So people get clean, they go out, they use, they come back. It's a mess. This is wrong. Full medical devices, biological products covered. Full mental health. I could use that. Drugs covered. And finally, for all of my friends out here, full medical marijuana covered. Yes. So, what you want to do now is take out your phones and look at, do you have to do the hashtag? No, just M4all.org, as we always know, .org. Take your phones out, get the petition, sign it, go home, tell your friends to sign it. I don't know if these people will listen, but if they think they're going to have a problem with you in the next election, maybe they will. And I think we have to say the only way they're going to budge is to put pressure on them. Obviously, if they have any souls, they would have done it long ago. So what we have to do is just threaten them in some way. Stop giving them money. Do what? Back them into a corner. What? Primary them. Definitely primary them. It's tricky, but it sometimes works, as we saw. You did it? Okay. Great. Everybody primary, everybody that isn't for Medicare for all. The problem is so many people said they were, and now where are they? Right? That's a problem. We have to say to them, we heard you, you told us that, and now you're not doing anything. This would be considered a lie. So let's get with the program here. So thank you all. You're all filming me. I have no idea what I just said, but I hope that I hope this doesn't get me thrown out of more places. But if it does,
When the healthcare system is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the healthcare system is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
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 And if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
if we don't get it.
Shut it down.
One more time, we don't get it.
Shut it down.
It's been amazing sharing this space with you guys. Make some noise! I'm gonna close myself out and I'm gonna pass it on to you, bro. So once again, I just want to close out by saying, for those who just joined late or came, welcome. My name is Chris Smalls, former Amazon employee, founder of TCOEW, now lead organizer for Amazon Labor Union, taking place every day in Staten Island. Come over here, some of my fellow Amazonians is right here. They are current workers at JFK Staten Island helping me with this fight. Listen, really important, while we here, while we got this opportunity, we're having our first rally and press conference August 4th. Please come out and support these workers. This should be the most talked about union drive in the country right now, and they are not reporting it. We are worker-led, independent, self-created, grassroots, worker-led, once again, worker-led, not established, brand new, and these workers are amazing. Please support them. We need everybody in the community. New York is a union town, right? And y'all saw how Amazon and Jeff Bezos spent $25 million stopping the union drive in Alabama. They're gonna do the same thing to us. They're already doing it. They're already doing it to us. So please help us. We need everybody to support us. Donate to our GoFundMe. You can find it on AmazonLaborUnion.org. Follow us on Twitter, Amazon Labor. Follow myself at @shut_down Amazon. No surprise there. And please join us in solidarity August 4th. Stay tuned for a time. Follow us. Thank you all. Thank you again for having me. Appreciate y'all. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it? You're damn right.
Chris Smalls, everyone. Thank you so much, Chris Smalls. I want to thank Susan Sarandon for endorsing our petition. We have a QR code at our fundraising table. You can scan it. It'll take you to the link to our petition. Please sign it. We need a lot of people to sign it. I want to thank everyone who endorsed this event today, from the Green Party of New York to the Movement for a People's Party of New York to ACT UP to ABC CBD and Physicians for a National Health Program, and of course, who can forget the private health insurance companies, the big pharmaceutical companies, Wall Street, the fossil fuel industry. Thank you for giving us a reason to be here today to work against you. And so now, I will quick mention that obviously this event was a huge success. We're not going to get healthcare on July 25th tomorrow, but we're going to keep on fighting. The fight does not end. And so tomorrow, if you'd like, you can join us. We're going to protest outside Chuck Schumer's house in support of descheduling Ibogaine. If you're interested in volunteering for that, please see Dana.
We're doing a Joints for Jabs. We're giving a free joint to anybody who's been vaccinated. So if you want to come with me now and roll joints, you can volunteer. I mean, it takes effort to roll joints. So just come with me now, and I'll take you to the place where the actual joints are produced.
I love your shirt, bro.
Thank you.
I use a rolling machine. All right, don't leave yet. We have one more performance for you to close us out. The epic rock and roll band Patches.